Welcome back to the All Ball Podcast, where it is all ball all the time. You are here with your hosts, Sean and Isaiah. This is episode number 41, and today we're going to be talking about the two teams that have already advanced, which are the Heat and the Warriors. And then we're going to be breaking down the two series that are still going on, which is Milwaukee and Boston and Phoenix and Dallas. But before all that, Isaiah, how you doing today, man?
You know, I'm feeling very goofy. I feel like a fool in a man's shoes. I feel like a clown, all of it. I feel like I got ratioed on Twitter, man. I feel terrible. Because here I was hyping up the Suns. Oh yeah, they're gonna close out the Mavs soon. There's no way this is going 7 games. And look where we stand today. As of Sunday, May 15th at 1:05 p.m. This series is going to game 7 later today.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to say, like I told you, I did kind of call it, but I didn't directly call it. So I said, I think that this series could go 7. I don't think it will, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. So you could take that how you want it. But for myself, I'm not surprised that this is going to 7, just because I think, like how I said before, there were some flaws that I saw for the Suns, especially on their bench, that I discussed. And I think the Mavs, for the most part, were playing above expectations.
Honestly, I feel like the problem even goes beyond the bench, though. Because if we look at how the last game ended, Devin Booker was terrible. Sure, he had 19 points, but first of all, 19 when he's not the leading scorer on the team is pretty bad. And if you look at the percentages, the turnovers, he was awful.
Mm-hmm.
So with all of that being said, I think that's where the real issue with the Suns lies, is that Devin Booker, he's fallen flat there. I think it was game 4 where Chris Paul had a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
So between those two not playing up to expectation at the same time, I think that's what really bogged down this team from closing out this series in 6.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you've probably seen this on Twitter I don't think you use Twitter, but Instagram or so, about them saying how this could be a rivalry, like for the future with Luka and Booker.
Luka and Boogie, yeah, I've seen that.
Well, do you think this actually could be like a rivalry?
I don't think so yet. I think we need to see another playoff matchup, or even how they do in their next season, regular season series. And then from there, we can establish if this is a rivalry. As of right now, one playoff series, like, I wouldn't call the Suns and the Bucks a rivalry as of right now, just because they had one finals matchup.
Right.
So yeah. I think, we just got to let those build.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a rivalry either. I just think that it is pretty obvious they don't like each other. But at the same time, it feels like this is probably the first time that we've actually seen this being displayed.
Well, I mean, when it comes to Luka, we've seen this plenty of times. We saw how he abused the Clippers, and specifically Marcus Morris.
I'm talking about specifically Booker and Doncic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at least to my knowledge, this is the first time.
Oh, yeah. I can't think of anything like this happening between them before. I can barely even remember them having games against each other before.
Yeah. So was there anything else you wanted to talk about, like, within that series? I know we've only really talked about it for like a couple minutes, but was there anything that really stood out to you?
I want to say that Jalen Brunson and DeAndre Ayton have both really surprised me this series.
Hmm.
I thought that for sure that those Suns were going to lock down Brunson because they didn't have a Rudy Gobert for him to abuse. And, they have real perimeter defenders, unlike the Jazz.
Hmm.
But no, he has greatly surprised me. He's contributed very well, or at least decently, in almost every game. And then as for DeAndre Ayton, man, playing with Chris Paul really has maximized his career up to this point. Like, he was a Rookie of the Year candidate, so he didn't start off bad, but he's ascended to a slightly higher level now that he has Chris Paul alongside him.
I'm trying to think of the same duo that had the exact same thing happen. Some point guard made a center look really good, and that center got paid. Absolutely didn't turn out for nothing. Man, which duo is that? I can't think of it off the top of my head. Was it? I feel like it was Rockets related. But
I
at the
mean,
same time,
the only person it would have been if it was us would have been Dwight Howard, and he was going to get paid regardless. So.
yeah, that's true. But no, was it? No, maybe it was the Cavs. I think it was was it Timothy Mozgov? They got
But
after.
that wasn't a point guard center duo. But
Yeah.
yeah, Timofey Mozgov did get a crazy bag after playing with LeBron.
No, man, there's someone else. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it's a point guard center duo that point guard really brought out the best of that center, and then that center got paid and moved somewhere else, and then just was pretty bad. Yeah, but I got to give a shout out to Dorian Finney-Smith because I kind of downplayed him a little bit. I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt that he could actually put up a lot of points like he did. I think it was 24, somewhere around that.
Yeah, it was 24.
Yeah, and well, he proved me wrong. He came out the same day that we recorded, and he did exactly what I said he wasn't going to do. So, props to him.
And on that same note, I want to transition over to the Heat and Sixers.
Okay.
Because on that same episode where you said that, Dorian Finney-Smith, he couldn't step up if necessary, we also said that James Harden was done. He's finished. He's not living up to up to his old self if he doesn't recover from that hamstring issue that's clearly been bothering him since he's gone to the Nets. But no, what happened in that very same day? He has not necessarily a vintage Harden game, but pretty close to it with a 30-point near triple-double. So, not going to say shout out to James Harden because he definitely sucked for the rest of the series. But,
yeah.
I just had to acknowledge that. Maybe it was a little bit of a jab at him, like, I really don't like you for doing that, but take it for what you will.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't deserve a shout out. But it is crazy that also the same day, like you said, how we recorded and we asked if his career was on a permanent decline, and then he does that. Like, he hit the step back and then he was going crazy, and well, that was the only game that he did anything like that.
See, and it's times like this where I want to say I'm convinced that this player listens to the podcast, just like I said about Jalen Brunson before. But the problem is that was before the episode released. So
yeah,
this is some kind of crazy podcast curse, as you call it.
But yeah, I think, man, it's really hard for me to say that his career actually is on a permanent decline. But it's looking that way. So someone get that man some better clubs in Philadelphia. Because and that hamstring still bothering him. He don't get his little pregame walk around the club to stretch his hamstring out or something.
Exactly. He doesn't have anywhere to throw those dollars. That's what gets the best out of Harden. That's why he was so great here.
Yeah, man. He I don't know. It's so weird just seeing him from what he was here to Philadelphia and Brooklyn is not even 50% of what he was.
Oh yeah, no. It really starts to make you realize that that whole era of basketball that we started with is really fading away before our eyes.
Yeah.
It's very slowly still, but you can really start to notice it now.
Yeah, it makes me be more thankful for what version of him we had while he was here.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. But on to that Milwaukee Boston series. So what are your thoughts on what's happened with that series so far?
So first and foremost, I want to say that wow, this series has absolutely lived up to expectations.
Mm-hmm.
We both called that this was going 7 games. We knew it was going to be close, gritty games every time. So really shout out to both Boston and Milwaukee for going out there and giving it their all every night.
Mm-hmm.
Now on that same note, I'm gonna retract that shout out to Milwaukee, and I'm going to change it to shout out to Giannis, because
that's what I was
Giannis
about to
is
say.
the only reason that they are in this series. Drew Holiday has done nothing but have terrible games as far as I've seen. He's never had a game where he shot the ball perfectly efficiently, not even decently efficient. He has absolutely squandered so many valuable possessions because he thinks that he's Steph and he can take step back threes. You are Drew Holiday. That is not your thing.
And that's funny because I was just about to ask you, his field goal percentage did improve from the last time I asked you about it. And I was going to ask you, is 7 for 17 good for him? But I could tell that's already a big no.
No, especially after they lost, because the 7 and 17 in a win, maybe I can live with it. It's not good, but maybe I can live with it. But
Mm-hmm.
7 and 17 in a loss, at this point, Giannis needs to take every shot. I don't care. I don't care how he does it. I don't care how tired he gets. I want him taking all 80, 90 total shots that a team would take in a game. I don't care. I don't care how many points he gets. I don't care if he breaks Wilt's record, whatever. I need him to take as many shots as possible because his teammates are wasting the possessions that he gets them open shots on.
Just give me the ball once we pass half court and let me ISO every single possession.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have to say that I agree with you that Giannis is the only reason why this Bucks team is still in this series, because even if you look at the Celtics, like Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, they both had very efficient games. And I mean, well, that was at least for last game.
Mm-hmm.
But let me go to the box score for this one. Just be safe. Brown again, 26 points. Marcus Smart, an efficient 15 points. So I think what the Celtics are doing is beating the Bucks on efficiency. And like I was telling you the other episode, I think it was it Grant Williams who I said threw the ball to nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've cleaned up most of that.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
But yeah, this series is great. I think this is probably the closest we'll get to a finals feel. I think I said that last episode too.
Mm-hmm.
But every game has lived up to that feeling.
Yeah, and I have to agree, especially the game that just passed where we had double 40-point games.
Hmm.
And while once again it was wasted because Giannis couldn't get a teammate to knock down a shot.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was still a great game nonetheless. Seeing two of the best guys in the league just absolutely rip apart their respective defenses.
I have to ask you, do you have a problem with the scheduling of this game also? The 2:30 game.
You know, I don't actually, because it's at 2:30 instead of at
Mm.
12 like they used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the one last week was, and I think the last time they played on Sunday was also at 12.
Hmm.
So now that it's at 2:30, thank you NBA for actually caring about fans who have things to do earlier in the day.
Yeah. I think the Bucks and Celtics should have probably be played at 7 and the Suns at Mavs at 2:30. But I'm guessing this is more of a just because it's East Coast type of thing.
Mhm.
So they have to play it early.
I mean, even if we look at it, we have 2:30, so it would be 3:30 for them when they play this game.
Hmm.
Whereas since it's Mavericks at Suns, it would be about 5 when they play their game. Okay, yeah, I guess that's fair. Because then
Yeah.
if they were to play at 2:30 here, then they'd be playing at 12:30 at
Yeah.
their home game. So okay, all right, I guess it's fair.
Yeah. 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 You were confusing me a little bit with the times, but I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Yeah. I was like, wait, is this mountain time or is this
Yeah, I believe that Arizona is in the Pacific time zone, but you know,
I
don't hold me to that. Don't hold me to it.
hold on. Wait. I gotta pull up time zones real quick because I'm thinking, where's mountain time then?
I mean, I know that's like Colorado and yeah, oh no, Arizona is in Mountain Time. It's the last state
Yeah.
in that time zone in this
Hmm.
southern stretch.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
Yeah,
so really, that's man. So they'd be playing at 1:30 instead of 12:30.
yeah.
Man, then they could have put that game at 2:30 here. Then,
Yeah, come on, NBA. Y'all did a little bit better, but y'all still didn't get it right.
yeah. At the end of the day, this Bucks Celtics series is really prime time. The Celtics, I mean not the Celtics, the Suns and Maverick series is only 7 games because people keep selling. This series is 7 games because both of these teams are legitimately great. And again, while Milwaukee outside of Giannis has been terrible, at the end of the day, that team is Giannis. So it doesn't matter what they do. The only difference is when they suck and Giannis is good, you're going to have a close game. When Giannis is playing good and the rest of the team is playing good, it's a guaranteed win.
I agree with you. I was about to say, so you said something like both of these teams are doing great. I was like, so you're doing great. um, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited for these games. But let's go ahead and talk about the two teams that have already made it through, which is Miami and Golden State. Which team would you like to start with first?
Well, before we move on, I do want to talk about the series that the Warriors had with the Grizzlies.
Okay.
So, first and foremost, I want to say this series had a lot of unnecessary extra beef to it.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of dancing and just general over the top ridiculousness that didn't need to happen. I get it with the series that the Grizzlies had before because the Timberwolves were disrespecting them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But the Warriors, they weren't doing that. So all of that extra dancing that Ja was doing and all of that, I get it if you're excited in the game, but to just all that extra stuff outside of a hype moment, it's really unnecessary.
On top of that, all the extra pushing and injuries that were caused by the unnecessary beef.
Exactly.
GP2, who went out for the Grizzlies? Well, it was
Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks. Yeah, he got suspended.
Yeah.
I saw a meme that the dude that's like, you know what? I'm gonna say it. I don't care that you broke your elbow.
Oh,
Put that for Gary Payton the second. Um, but yeah, do you think his injury actually plays as big of a role as people are making it seem?
If I had to think about it, really, it depends on who their matchup is next series. Because at the end of the day, he is a very great defensive guard. That's undeniable. It's what he absolutely does best on the court. And so I think that maybe with the way the Suns have been playing, they can get away with not having him if the Suns win.
Mm-hmm.
But between this dynamic duo of Luka and Jalen Brunson out of nowhere, I don't think that. Well, I think that they're going to give them more trouble than they would if he was healthy.
Mm-hmm. I think that it plays somewhat of a role because at that point you're having to play. I think it's Damian Lee who's basically taking over what GP2 is doing, and that's not good.
I think what they actually did was that they boosted everybody else's minutes, and then they kind of just threw in Damian Lee a little bit because when I look at it, he only played like 10 minutes last game.
Yeah.
And even before that, okay, no, it was the game before that where they played him a lot.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because they boosted Looney's minutes too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, hold on. Before we keep going, whoever it was, they compared Kevon Looney to Hakeem Olajuwon.
Bro, what?
You didn't hear about that?
No, what?
I think it was Draymond. Let me see. Kevon.
Oh my.
Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney.
No, this. Nah, you have to be making this up, man.
No, I'm not. Where is this at? Oh, Clay jokes Looney should be known as Kevon Olajuwon.
Yeah, I hope he's not talking about the same Kevon Looney who just in this past game 6 missed 3 layups right at the rim. Didn't try to dunk the ball once. Kept trying to tip, and it just kept going out because he's trash. So even as a joke, I don't want to hear it, Clay. I don't want to hear it. You don't even joke like that because this man's Kevon Looney. You shouldn't even be comparing him to anybody who plays in the league now, unless you're talking about Hassan Whiteside, maybe.
Yeah, I guess Olajuwon was only known for rebounding. That's all.
Don't even get me started on the real nuances of that comparison because oh boy, there's a lot of stuff that Hakeem did on the court. So yeah, we're gonna move past that.
Okay.
And we're gonna keep going. And I also want to point out this series was really reminiscent of the previous series that the Grizzlies had in the sense that this series only even seemed close because there was a lot of terrible basketball from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Watching these games, I could not believe that I was watching the same Warriors team from the regular season because there's so many wide open shots, basic passes that just got picked off because they thought that would work for whatever reason. Missed layups right at the rim. And just general Jordan Poole foolishness that happens from time to time. So I've just, between that and then, I already talked about it when they played the Timberwolves. The Grizzlies really do have a problem with consistency, and they just seem to always do some wonky stuff on the court.
Mm-hmm.
So I really hope that this Western Conference Finals matchup is going to be more exciting and less. I don't even know how you would label that, but I hope that they clean it up a lot more and it feels more like what we're getting out of the Eastern Conference.
I don't remember which game it was, but I know that the commentator said something like, and this wouldn't even add up, right? So this is probably wrong. I think it was like a stat where Jaren Jackson Jr. over, I think it was 5 games, had like 30 fouls.
Bruh.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Okay, yeah, you were definitely right about that not adding up because that would mean that he fouled out of every game.
Yeah.
But that doesn't surprise me. Like if he's still somewhere in the mid-20s, that wouldn't surprise me.
It was a lot of fouls. Or no, maybe it was through the whole playoffs he had combined for like 40 fouls or something like that.
Okay,
It was something
I can
ridiculous.
believe that.
Because I don't think the commentators would just say something absolutely wrong like that.
Oh yeah, no. Now granted, they're still human, they get their information from flawed places, this, that. But I don't think that they'd make a claim that serious and let it be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody had to have done the math on that. Like that's simple math.
Right. Also, wait, before we move on, well, not move on, but before we continue, since we were talking about Clay and his ridiculous statement, do you think Game 6 Clay is a real thing?
I didn't before, but I believe it now. Because let me tell you, I watched this last game.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first possessions, Steph and Clay both missed wide open shots. And at that point, I was ready to turn the game off because I couldn't believe how awful that was.
Mm-hmm.
But then next time down the court, Clay just says, throws up a 3 from, I want to say 30 feet almost. Maybe it was about 28, somewhere around there. And just straight nets it. And then comes down the court again and hits another 3. So if that doesn't tell you that Game 6 Clay is a real thing, then you're crazy. Because that's the only explanation for how someone can come out and brick an open 2-point jump shot and then turn around and hit a contested 3 from well behind the line.
I thought it was a fluke every time, and maybe this was just because I have Rockets bias that maybe one game that we actually play him for Game 6 he would actually fail. But it seems that it is true. It's just something magical that when Clay steps on the floor for Game 6, he steps on the floor with the takeover already on.
He has the takeover already. That man bought his Gatorade boots.
Yeah.
He maximized his badges before the game.
Yeah. So
he even spent a little bag on some VC to finish off his stats.
Exactly. Um, so hopefully this is the Clay that we'll see from now on. For the rest of this playoffs run and into next season, and hopefully injuries aren't a thing for him.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, Game 6 Clay is definitely a thing.
But here's my question for you now.
Okay.
Are you taking Game 6 Clay or Game 6 Giannis?
Hmm.
Because to point out some notable Game 6s from Giannis, we
Okay.
have just last game they played 44-20. And then last season when they won the championship in Game 6, we know he closed that out with 50. I want to say it was 50, 10, and 5 blocks.
Yeah, it's 50
Yeah,
because
and he hit 17 of 19 free throws. So I don't know, man. I think Game 6 Giannis might be the
yeah,
GOAT. Might be the GOAT.
yeah, as good as Clay is for Game 6, he doesn't come close to Giannis just because of what Giannis can do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously, I don't think Clay is anything close to what he is without Steph at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But Giannis is just his own monster. So yeah, and it is 50 because I always remember the
Oh yeah,
Chick
no.
Clay clip.
Yeah, no, I knew it was 50 for sure.
Yeah,
The thing I was unsure about was if it was 10 rebounds or 15 rebounds.
because I always remember the clip where he's like, not 49,
Not
not
51.
51.
I want 50.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely taking Giannis. I think that's a no doubt for anyone, unless you're like a Warriors fan or biased.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. But you ready to go ahead and move on to the other team that's went ahead and made it through already, which is the Miami Heat?
Yep.
Okay. So I just saw this thing on Instagram before we started recording,
Mm-hmm.
and it said, "Who is one of the scariest players to go up against in the NBA?" And one of them was playoff Jimmy Butler. Do you think that's true?
Well, between this past series here
Mm-hmm.
and their run to the finals in the bubble,
Mm-hmm.
I have to agree with that statement. Because with the exception of last season where they got eliminated first round on a sweep, Jimmy Butler in the playoffs has been a dominant force.
Mm-hmm.
He'll drop 40 on your head, maybe he'll drop a triple double another night, and all at the same time he's gonna play lockdown defense.
Yeah, he is like the most perfect example of what a player looks like when he gives you everything. They had that man looking like the lady from the Popeyes meme in the bubble. Yeah, but I agree with that statement too. The one I don't agree with, because there was other players. They said like all-time Shaq, all-time Curry,
Mhm.
uh, LeBron, Giannis.
Okay,
The one I
fair
don't
enough.
agree with is Trae Young.
Oh, not the same Trae Young that got absolutely embarrassed by the Heat this year.
Yeah,
Maybe it's supposed to be like a tier list. And so playoff Jimmy Butler is just that far ahead of playoff Trae.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's just he's not someone who would scare me. Like, I mean, if I had to go guard him, I'm gonna get toasted. I'm gonna get my ankles broken, but I ain't scared to guard him. But if you put me against Shaq, I mean, I'll guard him from the out of bounds line.
You see, and that's the thing. There are other 7-foot grown men in the NBA who were scared of Shaq.
Exactly.
But on that same note, would you be scared to guard Curry though?
No, but I know that it's gonna be. So the reason that they gave was it'd be scary because once his three start going in, you can't stop him. Like you can't do anything to stop him.
Mm-hmm.
So from a physical standpoint, probably not. A little bit more than Trey because I think Steph is a little more physical than Trey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but no, because I wouldn't be able to keep up with Steph more than 5 seconds. The man runs around like he's in a track meet, and I can't. I would run out of stamina in 5 minutes. I mean, 5 seconds.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
So I'd be scared for my body's sake. Yeah, but those were some of the guys they named, and I just wanted to point that out
You
about
know
him.
what? Here's what it really is. This is why
Okay.
you should be scared of playoff Trey. Because just like regular season Trey, he is going to magically bump into you and get free throws and put you in foul trouble.
I'm not even gonna be looking at him. I have my back to him. After he crossed me over, and then he's gonna bump into me.
He's gonna take your ankles, have you on the ground, and then trip over your on the ground body and get free throws.
That sounds like Trey. That sounds like Harden too.
Yep. It's you could be guarding somebody in the corner and Harden just flails his arms. Oh, foul on you in the corner.
Yeah, man. But back to the Heat. I gotta shout out Rockets legend PJ Tucker.
Mm.
The man is just a hustle machine. He grabbed I think it was 4 offensive rebounds, 4 or 5. But every time it's like it killed the crowd. Just like sucked the life out of them, out of the Philly crowd. It's like every time they started booing, every time we got a offensive rebound because they knew that like Joel should be grabbing those.
You know, and on top of just he really is somebody who will do whatever it takes to win. We saw this last year when he won a championship with Milwaukee, taking the challenge of guarding the best player on the other team, which most notably was Kevin Durant in their second round series.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, from his time here in Houston, he guarded best players. When we got Westbrook here and we got rid of Capella, he took the challenge of playing the 5 at 6'5". So
Yeah,
he truly is, as he would say, a dog who will do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah, definition of like glue guy, team player, like perfectly encapsulated right there. PJ Tucker.
Yep.
And he has all the shoes to go along with it too, so he'll look good while doing it. But yeah, was there anything about the Heat that's kind of stood out to you within the last series or just moving forward?
No, nothing that we haven't already talked about.
Okay, and I just have to ask you, what do you think about Duncan Robinson not getting any PT?
You know, it's really weird because I can understand it from a defensive standpoint. There's Duncan Robinson's not guarding anything. But Duncan Robinson is one of the few players who legitimately makes me upset when he touches the ball because I know it's going in no matter how well contested it is.
Yeah.
So at that point, I think that's where the issue lies, because I believe that if he has a normal shooting night for his normal, his offensive output will outweigh his defensive lack of output.
So I'm looking, I think it was let me see. That's like 4 already. I believe it was 4 DNPs throughout the whole Philly series, and then the other 2 were like 1 minute and 3 minutes. And I think one of the games he actually did get like 15 minutes or so. So they're paying that man a pretty good amount to not play. when he actually is one of the most lethal shooters on the team and the NBA.
Yeah, man, that's a really weird coaching decision.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I don't want to question Eric Spoelstra. He's proven that he is a very good coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna assume that it was the right decision. I don't understand the logic behind it, but maybe it's just not for a regular person like me to understand.
Maybe not. Maybe not both of us, because I don't understand it either. But they're winning, and they look like they're dominating. So it's working, and I guess we don't question it.
Yeah, I think this will be the key here. Let's say that Milwaukee wins this series tonight. They go to the next round.
Mm-hmm.
Milwaukee is a team that is notorious for giving up a lot of open jump shots. So if he doesn't get more playing time against them, then that's where I'm going to start to get concerned with his lack of play time, because he is a perfect counter to Milwaukee, because he's going to get a ton of open threes. And if he's playing like himself, he's going to hit almost all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about the Heat. I do agree with you that Duncan Robinson could be a good game plan or a part of the game plan going against Milwaukee, because we've seen how the Celtics have been able to knock down a lot of threes in the current series.
Exactly.
But yeah, was there anything else you wanted to add? I have one more question for you.
Okay. Well,
that I literally, I think I just forgot it. Hold on. Oh no, okay, I remember.
Okay, well, you can get to your question.
Okay. What would be the bigger upset? The Mavs beating the Suns, or the Celtics, after having a terrible start to the regular season, defeating the defending champs in the Bucks?
I think without a doubt it would be the Mavericks beating the Suns.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, let's talk about the Celtics. Despite their terrible start to the season, they were one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league from December on.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came into the playoffs and absolutely obliterated the Nets. So I think at that point, beating the defending champs in 7 games isn't even an upset. I think it's just a really good series that either team deserves to win. Whereas with the Suns and the Mavericks, firstly, we're talking about the 1 seed and the 4 seed. So already there's a disparity there. And on top of that, the Mavericks are a team that they're really weird. They seem like a crazy dominant force when Luka's going off sometimes, but at the same time, he can have a great game and they still lose. And then we're talking about the team that was just in the finals last year versus a team that got eliminated in the first round last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think without a doubt, it's the Mavericks are absolutely the bigger upset than the Celtics would be. Okay.
I agree with you. I just wanted to see if maybe you had a different opinion, because I could also see where the people that would think that the Bucks being eliminated would be a bigger upset.
Yeah, no. I think specifically because of the team they're going up against, it's not necessarily an upset. Because at the end of the day, this feels like it should have been the conference finals, but because of the way standings work, it didn't play out that way.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, that's all I have to add for today. Is there anything else that you wanted to comment on or talk about, I guess, before we go ahead and wrap everything up?
Nope, that is it.
All right, well, that's going to be the end of the episode. If you liked the episode, go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Isaiah, any last comments?
You know, the usual. Don't forget to share the podcast with as many people as you can.
All right, we will catch you on the next episode.